yeah, I think I lived a lot in my head. I read a lot. I'm trying to think. Do you guys ever have people who get emotional thinking about being 12?
Are you kidding?
Does that happen a lot?
Are you kidding?
It's
That's
like,
the whole point. We're here for tears.
Yeah, it like feels bad. And
If it feels bad,
it's so weird. No, because I've been thinking. I kind of thought I was like, oh, I'm like it's perfect timing to do this show, because I feel like I've been trying to get in touch with that again as an adult, because I do feel like I like lost this part of me that I had. Like I was so miserable at that age. Like I was really depressed and anxious and dealing with this grief that I didn't quite understand, and just lonely and all these things. And I had my youngest sister just moved home. She was living in North Carolina for the last couple years, and I'm really close to my 3 younger siblings, and we just had like a sleepover a few days ago.
So fun.
It was so fun.
That. It's really sweet.
It's so nice, and it's also so nice to have a close relationship with your siblings who are there for your whole childhood, so you can just go, oh my God, do you not remember this?
Yeah.
This traumatizing fact about our childhood?
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, did I never tell you this happened? Oh my God, that's that too.
And you're the oldest one, so that's
memory,
I don't know what that's like.
It's not great.
Yeah.
It's not the best, because you're the first crash test dummy, and the first crash test dummy usually gets burned to a crisp, right? Like, you know. But I think there was something really hopeful about me when I was in middle school, because I had my whole life ahead of me, and I had so much, again, like hope and delusion about the type of person I would be and all these things I would do. And I really am all those things now. Like my life is everything it's more than what I thought it could be, honestly. Like I got to do a bunch of international dates in the last few months. Like I just got back from Australia and New Zealand last week, and I was like, did you ever think you were going to get paid to go to fucking Australia and New Zealand? Like, do you ever think you'd be in Amsterdam? Like, oh, I'm here for work. Like, it's really crazy to me. And I was talking about this in therapy recently, where I'm like, it just makes me sad sometimes, because I can't like go back and save her, and it feels like I lost part of her, instead of like I can't take her with me, which is strange. And I'm trying to feel like I did, but it feels like I just sort of like escaped, and I can't help her escape. Makes sense?
No, it totally makes sense.
It does, yeah.
I have like survivor's guilt from my younger self.
Yeah.
Which is strange.
How old were you, just for, I don't know actually, and also for our audience, how old were you when your mom passed away?
Oh, I was 8.
You were 8.
I was like just about to turn 9, yeah.
Such a tender age.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It was like right before like everything happened. You're like a year later, you get your period. You're like, fucking really? Fucking really, God? That kind of sucks. It's the beginning of the end for me and God. I was like, I don't know who's up there, but does not have my best interests at heart. Okay.
What you're describing here about someone who wants to escape, and by the way, that really resonates with me. Actually, the years from about 12 to 20 are my darkest, absolutely. Like absolutely. And I was living in Hollywood and doing that thing, building that up, and
and you feel that too, like now as an adult, where you're like, oh, I'm everything I wanted to be.
Yeah, well, yeah. I think, I mean, I started to succeed in a very, like, frothy way very early on that was maybe never going to be, it never had the potential to, like, really artistically satisfy me. So therefore,
Gossip Girl wasn't artistically satisfying.
we can't talk about it. There's a SAG strike. There's not by name. No, that's
I'm so sorry.
No.
The happiest she's ever been for there to be a SAG strike.
Now I can finally not.
I'm free. Bleep it out.
No, I don't even really remember the question at this point. I don't want to talk about myself so much, but I think the point is like, were you conscious of the fact of like an absence of female role models? Did you feel that, and then the fact that you had to be one for your sisters, I would imagine, is a significant dynamic.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I was talking to my sisters and my brother about this week, where I was like, this is, I'm like, I'm not saying that this was any of you put this on me ever, because they don't. But there is a difference between the way they interact with each other and the way I interact with them. And my sister, who's the closest in age to me,
what is that difference?
My youngest sister is 6 years younger than me.
Okay, so that's
4 years younger than 2. It's every 2 years.
Okay.
Yeah. So I have a paternal instinct towards them that I just know that they've recently started to go, yeah, no, we don't understand that. Because and it was really interesting this week to talk to my sister about it, who was very impressed I was coming on this podcast, by the way. So thank you for that.
Oh.
She was like, she was 2 when it happened. She was like 2 and 3. And I was like, do you remember like me like reading to you guys after she died? Like, do you remember like when we'd be home alone and we'd have dance parties? Like, do you remember that? And my brother's like, I remember that. And my sister's like, I don't really remember that. And I was so sad because those were the bright spots in my childhood. Like, my siblings were the bright spots in my childhood. Like, my sister, who's closest in age to me, I think we talked about this recently. She came to Europe with me and like felt emotionally responsible for all of us. And I felt like I was responsible to keep everybody safe, you know, like I'm like, nobody get hurt. Like I felt very, very nervous that something was going to happen to them, and still do all the time. Like it's just constantly humming underneath everything, to the point where I don't know that I don't know that I could have kids of my own at this point, just because I'm like already on overload.